So, Midline, we had released our fourth record in 2006 called Wreckage, and we did some more touring on that record. And we were getting older and just kind of I was feeling like we were kind of smacking our heads against a brick wall, still trying to make it, and married and kids and those responsibilities and all of that that goes with that. And so I was really feeling like, is music something I wanted to continue doing? And I was just kind of jaded and mad and all of those kind of things because we had worked so hard for so long, and we had these really serious peaks of success, and then it would go away again. And I was just burnt out. And I was getting tired of jumping in the van and making the Southern California run and all of those things. And it's like your wallet is bleeding money constantly. And so at that same time, Stymie and Scott had started Karen Comes Killing, and they were giving that a lot of attention. And not that they weren't giving Midline attention, but anyway, blah, 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 blah. So in late 2008, I came to the band and said, guys, I think I'm out. I'm going to check out. I'm going to focus on my landscaping business that was growing rapidly and those kind of things. And kind of felt like my day in the sun with music was over. I ended up being very wrong. But so we all shared a bunch of tears, and we decided we were going to go out with this big show that was at the time the Knitting Factory was called the Big Easy, and we involved John Conley, the first drummer of the band, and we had Alf come up and make an appearance. And anyway, we organized this big send-off show, right, to end it all, our last performance. And Anthony had hired a production company to film this last performance, and they showed up and they filmed and whatnot. Now, their commitments were supposed to be to film the concert and then to edit it all together into a professionally made DVD that we wanted to sell. Midline wanted to sell this DVD of our last show. So everything as far as that, the show and everything went fine. It wasn't until 6 months later or so, we still didn't have any video from this production company. And it was back and forth. And finally they gave us something that they said was edited. And as you watched it, there would be these screens would come on where the whole screen would be red, and it would say media offline, camera not working, or something to that effect. And I told Anthony, I was like, this isn't, and Anthony, the whole band was like, this is unacceptable. We can't produce this. We can't sell this. This isn't what people are going to want to see. And so Anthony kept going back and forth, and they had problems with the film or whatever their excuse was. And Anthony finally said, we're going to sue you. And so Anthony was talking to me, and he was like, I'm going to sue these guys. And I'm like, is it worth suing them for $1,500? Because it's highly unlikely that we'll ever see that come back to us. And to go through the process of even suing somebody is a headache in and of itself. Well, Anthony is Italian, and he has that Italian blood, and he's going to fight to the end. It's going to happen. So if Anthony says he's going to sue somebody, it's going to happen. Yeah, so he decided to sue this production company, and they were served papers, and he called me and said, yep, they've been served. And I'm like, well, what's the next step? And he's like, well, now the ball's in their court. And they had actually around the same time tried giving our money back. And Anthony says it's not about the money, it's about the fact that this was Midline's last show, and we wanted this video of this concert to be able to sell to our fans, and just to have personally, like, this was the end of the road kind of a thing. And so he sued him. Well, it was not long after that, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, Anthony called me. He's talking really fast and said, "Hey, I just got this phone call from the producers of the Judge Mathis show, and they found our pending, I don't know what you call it, whatever the technical words are that you're suing somebody. They were interested in the case and offered to have the dispute settled on TV." In front of however millions of people watch the Judge Mathis show. So he said we would need to leave and fly to Chicago. I think it was the following week, and he could take one person from the band, and so I was available to go. And so Anthony and I jumped on a Southwest plane, flew to Chicago. We went to the Midway airport is what we flew into. This is all arranged by the NBC, and so they use the Midway airport, not O'Hare. Flew into Midway and got off the plane. We just had carry-on bags, and it was just like in the movies where you're walking out and somebody's holding a sign that said Faggiano on it. And so this guy picked me and Anthony up and a handful of other people in like a giant Ford Excursion type SUV. We're freaking just flying probably 90 miles an hour on the freeway in Chicago, and just like whipping in and out of traffic. Now, if you've never driven in Chicago, it's pretty mind-blowing. It's you think LA is bad. I think Chicago is probably twice that. We went to this hotel, and I guess this particular hotel in downtown Chicago along the Miracle Mile there is where they hosted the I don't know. The other side is the defendants. What are we? I don't even remember. I'm not well prepared, apparently. But at any rate, so they gave us some food vouchers, and we stayed in this really nice hotel. Well, Anthony, I thought, well, we're in Chicago for the night. We thought we would just walk around and find like a steakhouse or something. So we probably walked. Plaintiff, thanks, babe. The plaintiffs all stayed in one hotel, and the defendants all stayed in another hotel. So, of course, we wouldn't cross paths, right? I have no idea where their hotel was located, but we walked around probably for 2 miles trying to find some kind of steakhouse that we could afford. That wasn't $120 a person. Ended up going back to the hotel, and we ate dinner there, and I don't even remember what it was. We just had these food vouchers and had some drinks, and ended up talking to a few other people that were there that we found were also going to be on the Judge Mathis show, and we were just kind of laughing about the whole scenario was kind of surreal. But we had to be up early the next day. The lobby call was like 7 a.m. or something, and we go down there and we meet this guy, and he takes us, and literally we left out of the parking garage of the hotel, and we took a left and then another left and went over a block to where the NBC studios were located and got out. Now, you're not allowed to have your cell phones or any personal belongings on you whatsoever. So they all took our bags and checked our bags, so we're just can't contact anybody, nothing. Go up this elevator, and you're going through these NBC studios, and you see these giant posters of Jay Leno and Oprah Winfrey and different newscasters and sports people and all of those kind of things on the walls, just like you see on TV. And they took us into this big waiting room and assigned us numbers, and then we had paperwork to fill out. And so Anthony's filling out paperwork, and I'm filling out paperwork as a witness. And at the bottom of the page it says, by signing this paper, you agree that you are being a witness for this court case and that we're going to pay you $5. Yes, $5 for being a witness. And there was an envelope with it. And there was supposed to be $5 in this envelope. Well, I opened the envelope. There was no money in it. And I was like, it's $5. What am I going to say? Hey, you didn't give me my $5. Well, and Anthony was agreeing to, like, if they won the case, that he was going to be sent the check for the money, and then, but just appearing on TV, he was paid $100, and that was going to be given to him at the end of the day. So we go from there, and they start breaking us up into smaller groups and smaller groups, to where eventually Anthony and I are by ourselves in kind of this small little office room. It looks like an interrogation room. And one of the producers for the TV comes in and says, "Okay, tell me about your court case, and what are you going to say?" Basically, they wanted to make great TV. So they wanted you to be a little over dramatic and a little more enthusiastic in how you responded to questions, or how you defended yourself in XYZ, excuse me. So they're kind of coaching you along, and then they're asking me, like, what are you going to say? And I'm like, well, they said if I had to say anything, I'd be sitting in a chair next to Anthony, and I would raise my hand if I had something to add. But other than that, not to interject. So then we ended up going to makeup. And so we're in this long, narrow, sort of like a hallway, but a little bit bigger. And there's all these people getting their hair done and makeup and such. And because there's more than just the Judge Mathis show. There's other TV shows going on in the building all the time. So I'm not sure what all shows they film there, but I mean, there was probably a dozen or so seats. And we're all sitting there putting makeup on me and Anthony, and the girls are asking, what we're there for. And I just said, I'm just here to be eye candy. And the whole row of girls just started laughing, because how silly is that? But it was hilarious that I just said I'm here just to be eye candy, like he's gonna do all the talking anyway. And all of this stuff sounds like it's happening pretty fast, but it's taken all day long. And finally they take Anthony and I to this other waiting room, because they're getting closer and closer to the time, and they put a little wireless microphone battery pack on our hip. And then at the last moment, another makeup person comes in and touches up, because they don't want anything reflecting off your face. No shiny faces. So they do all of that, and I'm getting like pretty nervous. And I know that I don't have to say a word. And Anthony's getting no, Gary, I did not have. I had short hair by that time. All of us did. Well, except for Stymie. But at any rate, so they take us to where they're going to film this thing, and it's like being on the stage, like at the Morrison Center or something. It's a sound stage, so there's no theater part to it, but it's a stage, and the walls are really, really thin. It's all a facade. So when you see the Judge Mathis show actually on TV, it looks like there's these big walls, like you're maybe in like a marble courthouse or something, like the Capitol building. It's not. It's just all these fake looking painted walls made to look heavy and substantial. But you could probably go over and push them over. And then right above the judges' heads, which you can't see on TV, are two squares, probably, 16 inches long by 10 inches tall or something. There's a camera mounted in each of those, so they're just barely out of the frame when they're filming. So it's way different actually being there. So they call us up, and it's time to go, and they have different producers and people on the stage telling you when to enter. And so I come walking in, and I don't think that they said my name, but I came walking in, and the police guy that they have there told me to sit. And then as Anthony gets ready to come in, they do the whole thing. Anthony Fagiano is suing so-and-so for blah, blah, blah when his rock band played. And then Judge Mathis comes out after the defendants come in. Now, Anthony and I are wearing button-up collared shirts with a tie and dress slacks and shoes. And these jokers come walking in wearing sneakers and jeans and t-shirt or whatever. And they don't look like they're ready to be defending themselves in a court of law or anything like that. And so I was just kind of laughing, like, look at these guys. And so the court case goes, and it's quite entertaining, and they end up going back and forth, of course, making TV, and they show the video of the screen going red and saying media offline, midline concert, or whatever it said on there. And the judge is saying, that's the edited copy? And they had said, yes, that was the edited copy. And then they showed it, and obviously it's not edited. And then they said that Anthony was trying to scam them, and it was a premeditated scam. And just, you could see the people in the audience that are behind, which I don't know how those people got on the show. But they look just like people off the street, you know, hanging out in the courtroom. And they're all laughing about that. And of course, we win the case. I didn't have to say anything. Anthony did a great job, because he suddenly turned into Anthony the Italian. There was no pulling the wool over that guy's eyes. So won the case. They immediately hustle us out of the courtroom. And as we're walking, people are taking the microphones off, and they take us to this other room. Congratulations, you won your case. I mean, this is just a labyrinth of hallways and rooms at this NBC studios, and Anthony are sitting there, and they bring Anthony $100 and hand it to him, and they said that they're going to mail the check for winning the case, and which was $1,500, and they said, do you have any questions? And Anthony says, well, we would like to get our evidence back, because that CD, that DVD, that is like the only thing that we have of this concert, even though it's crummy, but like the stuff that's there, that's all that we have, because these guys, this production company, lost the footage or erased the footage or whatever the case was. So there was no getting that back. So Anthony asked if we could have our evidence back, and they said sure. So they went and got that, and then they brought our bags to us, our personal belongings, and then they said, do you have any other questions? And I said, I have a question. I said, so when we first got here, I had to sign this thing that I was being a witness, and I was going to be paid $5. I said, I just want to let you know that envelope was empty. And they're like, oh, we'll go get you. And I said, no, it's not. I'm not saying I want my $5. I'm just telling you that it wasn't there to begin with. And they said, oh, we've had a problem with people on staff stealing that $5. And so they were under investigation, apparently, because I'm not the only one that brought this to their attention. So they came back to the room with $5 and handed it to me. And Anthony and I were laughing about that. So they, once we had our stuff, they were like in a hurry to get us out of the building. And they're taking us through, like I said, like we go down this elevator, we're wandering through this labyrinth of hallways, and we go through an actual kitchen. So just like if you saw the movies where they're cutting through the kitchen to get away, that's exactly what was happening. We were going, I mean, people are making bread and whatever else they're doing, and take us out the back door where all the dumpsters are, and the smell of the dumpsters was pretty extreme. But right there next to the dumpsters was a limousine. So Anthony and I got in this limousine, and we drive with the limo driver back to the Midway airport. And of course, we're just 800 miles an hour weaving in and out of traffic, and got to the airport. I took that $5 and I gave it to the driver. So I tipped him my winnings for being a witness. and we flew home. Now, it was also Southwest Airlines' birthday that day, and I think we flew from Chicago to Las Vegas, and then Las Vegas to home. And so because it was their Southwest birthday, they were giving out free drinks on the plane. So Anthony and I were living it up. We had won our court case, having some drinks courtesy of Southwest Airlines. And we got home. Oh, I guess the other thing that we asked before we leave, we were just curious, like, when is this going to air? Now, I think it was like I want to say it was March of 2009 is when that concert happened. All this time went by, and I was asking Mary before I got on here. Like I said, when did we go to the Judge Mathis show? And she was pretty confident it was June of 2010. So it was over a year. And then we asked when that episode was going to air, and I think they said it was going to be like 6 to 9 months before they would actually air. And so it looked like it aired in March of 2011. Now the other thing is that we've scoured YouTube and the internet trying to find the episode. Luckily, when it actually aired, Mary hit record on our VCR, and because people still had VCRs then, and recorded that episode. So we have it on tape. So Mary's been trying to we can get the video fine, but the audio we're having some trouble with the audio. So we're hoping that we can clean that up and maybe sneak it onto YouTube, because we basically be rebroadcasting their show, right? I'm sure there's something illegal about that.